Happy Monday, everybody. I am Kate Dillon from Crate Insider. Today, here with Steve Henderson from Henderson Racing Engines. And
the same
welcome.
Dude every week. It's getting kind of boring. We need to guess.
It would be great. I don't think it's boring. We'd love to get some special guests.
Get some special guests or something.
Yeah.
I mean, special meaning good, not special.
Well, I mean, everyone's welcome on our show,
exactly.
Right? But no, it'd be great to have some manufacturers on and
you're impressed I use a politically correct term of special, right?
Yeah, but I knew what you meant. So yeah.
I think everybody did.
But I'm glad you definitely did this so that we wouldn't get hit off of YouTube and Facebook though.
Exactly.
So yeah. And I see Scott's here. If you're here, drop in a comment, say hi, tell us where you're here from, and if you have any questions, that's exactly what we're here for. So we'd love to see those. I see Scott is here, and he says hi from California, where Bobby Hogue IV won at Antioch.
100th career IMCA win. I saw that.
Oh wow!
Which is awesome because that family is it's like one of my other families, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
between the Hogues and the Scotts, I mean that's my two families other than my own.
Yeah, I mean that is really cool and special. I mean we met with Bobby Hogue Senior. Yeah. Well, I guess he'd be the third then.
Yeah.
And Janet, his wife,
right? And little Bobby was there.
Yeah, and little Bobby too. Yeah, so that was pretty cool.
Went for dinner there when we were out there in October, and had a damn good time.
Yeah, so it was, and of course, Steve is in the Antioch Hall of Fame. So
yeah, as is Bobby. We were inducted the same night.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Senior.
That's right. I mean, he couldn't go because he had a race to go to.
Yeah,
right?
little Bobby's running that Budweiser Nationals, I believe, down in Bakersfield or something.
Yeah. That's really cool. All right, we've actually got a question from right here.
Awesome.
I think tonight we're probably going to talk a little bit or a lot of bit about cooling. It's that time of year, and plus, I know that's what my phone's been ringing. With some questions, and so let's start with this one. So Mike's got a good one. He says, "What do you recommend as an upper radiator hose on a 604 with a double pass radiator, -20 or -16? And is a Willys equalizer considered an ICT carb?" I'll enter the second one. That is not.
No.
The ICT carb is different than the equalizer.
It is completely different.
But let's go with the first part of that. The upper radiator hose.
I mean, on our own vehicle or on our own house car, we run a -20, and there's going to be probably some people that would dispute what I have to say, but I mean, I'm going off of what I know from Howard Stewart, who was a good friend of my dad's, and obviously founded Stewart water pumps, and he always wanted volume to flow through the system. So, I mean, that's usually what we'll use with the double pass. I mean, that being said, I've got plenty of customers running 16s and doing just fine with it. But I kind of want water to move through the system.
Yeah, that's good.
Rather than, an abundance of pressure, basically.
Now, for your customer base, I mean, I know I've seen from what I sell, I sell about an equal number of -16s versus -20s.
Yeah, it's going to go either way, honestly. And like I said, I mean, there's just different ways of looking at it. I mean, I know some people want the water moving as fast as it can through the system, and some people want to just slow it down to the point of where, it's just literally two different ways of looking at it.
Mm-hmm.
And now you got.
So you want more time in the radiator to get cooled down is one aspect of that.
Correct.
Otherwise, just keep it moving so that it can.
Yeah, there's basically two different theories on how that goes. I mean, I've always stuck with Howard's idea, and it's never failed us. So.
Yeah.
But again, like I said, I've got plenty of dudes running 16s and working just fine. You're showing your asshole to the world.
Yeah, I'm sorry my cat is mooning everybody. I apologize for that. You need to be a little more appropriate.
When you look at that black cat, you either see his eyeballs or his asshole. There's no in between.
Pippi's pretty funny. On the cooling question, I'll tell you a little bit about a conversation I had today.
What was the other part of the question about that?
The second part is the Willys carburetor. Is it equalizer carb considered an ICT carb?
No, it's not. No, it's totally two different deals, and I believe that they abandoned the ICT
Right.
And they're now only doing equalizer.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Yeah, that makes sense. I know it was outlawed in several series, so that's
right.
where they were getting away from it. But with the equalizer,
Yep.
Yeah. Yes. On the cooling question, someone called today, a racer. He was fine before, but then he put in a radiator. I guess it was a radiator that was like 7 or 8 years old, but ever since then he's been having some cooling problems. He's running a -20. He's got a nice set of pulleys. You know, he's got the race fan. He's got a great shroud.
Slippage.
And what's that?
No slippage or anything going on.
Right. And he's found that if he goes out there and runs like 5 laps, he goes out, maybe up to 165, but then he gets anything past about 12 laps, he's getting upwards of 225 degrees. He's not pushing water, but he's not letting it get that far. And he changed out his gauge last week. So he just doesn't want it to overheat.
So he's got an 8-year-old radiator though?
Yeah, he said he thought the radiator was like 7 or 8 years old.
I would throw that thing in the trash, honestly. Okay. I mean, that's my advice. I mean, radiators should be changed probably twice a season, in my opinion. So,
well, I'm really glad because I said,
it's just my opinion on it.
No, that's totally fine. I had a conversation. What I said was the first thing to check would be the radiator. He already pulled it out. I said put it into a baby pool and let it get completely all of the dirt and dust and everything. But if you've ever overheated your radiator, those tubes in there can go from being oval to round.
That's normally that's if there's too much pressure.
Right. Yeah. If it's hot and it expands, which
a lot of times you see guys you can have a brand new radiator, blow a motor up, and pressure goes into the cooling system and it expands those tubes and it just closes it off where you can't even see through the damn thing. I mean, if you can't pull your radiator out of the car and look through it and see the other end of the shop, then your radiator sucks.
Well, see, I'm so glad. And that's why I want to talk about this because I kind of said most of the same things.
Right.
And at least I was giving correct information is what I is really going for. And just didn't know if you had anything else to add.
No, I mean, that's basically it. I mean, that's going to be the problem. So,
okay.
In my opinion, on that particular scenario. I mean, that being said, I mean, you always want to look at your pulleys. If the anodizing is getting wore off the pulley where the belt rides, then you've got slippage going on and stuff like that. So.
Okay, cool.
Slippage.
I know. That's like the word of the day, slippage. Sorry, that was funny. All right, we got another question here. Oh, that was the same one. Chuck is here. He says, hey, Steve and Kate, FJB.
Yep.
And I'm 100% for sending all Democrats to Russia to demand Russia to release Brittany Griner and act fools and start burning down Russia and see how that goes.
Yeah, it wouldn't go so well. I mean, I've been to Russia a couple times and not the best idea.
Yeah, if anybody knows the address for the GoFundMe so that we can get that signed up, then I'll pledge. I mean, not send money, but I'll just
send
pledge.
The Democrats.
Yeah.
I mean,
but I'll pledge.
Yeah.
I'll pledge.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding. I'd actually spend money.
On the bright side of things, that chick's been like drug free for 145 days, so that's really good. Good for her. I'm all about going through recovery.
Yeah.
And making sure you're drug free. So she's done a great job at that.
Wow. If only I knew what the abbreviation was for Russia. What is it? Because it's
RU.
RU. Okay. Yeah. So instead of the AA program, she's in the RU program.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's working.
Right.
100% effectiveness.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're assholes. All right. George is here. He says, is there any benefit to using nitrogen versus a compressor for tires?
Absolutely. Nitrogen is always best because you don't have the expansion that air has. You'll see it a lot of times, even nowadays, like on street cars, like on my own car. So if you see street cars with like a little green valve stem cap, that means there's nitrogen in the tires.
Oh.
So what it does, it does not expand and contract. It stays like a constant. Well, I mean, it will a little bit, but the variance is not like air. Wow. So in other words, my car in the middle of summer, I've got, 38 pounds of air or nitrogen pressure in the tire. In the winter, I might have 37.
Yeah.
So, but it's not like air where you might have, 38 in the summer and then you got like 20 in the winter.
Oh yeah, twice a year I'm getting the low tire pressure warnings.
So tire always performs better when you can do that. Part of the deal with running nitrogen, this was one of the things we did back in the day. You basically have to suck the tire dry.
Oh.
Because if there's any oxygen, air, whatever, contamination with the nitrogen, it will affect that, pressure.
Yeah, no, it makes sense.
As it heats up.
Well, yeah, because it's going to mix in there and it's going to dilute the nitrogen. And so you just want to have a non-diluted nitrogen. And I can understand why there would just be regular just surface air inside of a tire just for mounting it.
So the tire is going to last longer. It's going to perform better ultimately on nitrogen. Mm-hmm. That being said, I don't in the dirt racing world, I don't know a whole lot of guys that are really too concerned about it anymore, because it's almost like they're using air pressure as spring rate and everything else going on. But
do you think you see that more at the super late models?
Maybe. I don't know, honestly. I've got tons of friends running that stuff, but I haven't. It's not something I've asked about here recently.
Okay, gotcha. And actually, Chuck had a follow up to his Russia comment. He says she's about to be drug free for 10 years.
Yeah. Well, let's hope so.
Yeah, that's
Although,
great.
Dumbass will probably cut a deal to, I don't know, release a Russian spy for some chick who can throw a ball in a basket.
Right now, it's a Russian arms dealer that they want.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So the same thing. Yeah.
There's that.
Yeah. And this is a follow up. I will get back. I see there's a couple more questions here, but Donna, this is Steven. He says, "Hey, Steve Kate. This is Steven that called Kate about the Radiator today. Mm-hmm. The pulleys, pump, and belt are only 3 races old, and they're all Jones crate stuff.
Okay.
And he actually told me about this, and I forgot. He says, do you run a restrictor in the water neck with the dash 20 hose?
No, normally we run it wide open, unless we're using Art's, like on the stuff we're using, his thermostat system. Then we're running that system on E85. So, what kind of fuel are you using?
Oh, that's a good one too.
Yeah,
I didn't ask that
if
question.
you're using race gas, from my experience, the best scenario has always been that dash 20 hose.
Yeah, and I told him we don't generally run restrictors.
No. Yeah, no restriction. Normally the double pass itself is the restriction that you need.
Right. Yeah, makes sense.
And me and Art actually had this conversation, because it used to be like Howard told me years ago that it was essentially when you go to a double pass, you're restricting flow by 33%. When you go to a triple pass, which never works on dirt, by the way, it essentially goes to 66%. But then me and Art had a conversation. He's like, it's close. That's close. But he's actually flow rated all that. And it's Howard's stuff is a little bit off as far as that goes.
Yeah.
But it's essentially the same.
Well, back of the napkin type of thing, at least to get the basic concept. Right. And Stephen is running a mixed gas 93-101.
Yeah. I'm not a big fan of mixed gas. Matter of fact, I always recommend people do not mix. Unless you are a actual scientist and can check that shit very accurately, you're never going to have the same mixture twice.
Come on, Steve. After 2020, we are all scientists.
and with 93, especially when you throw that in the mix, what is your percentage of ethanol content in your 93?
You don't know.
Is it 0? Is it 5? Is it 10? Did the gas company screw you and say it's 0, but it's actually 10? So it changes everything so drastically. I'd be more inclined just to run your straight 101.
Yeah. Now on radiators, Mike, who had the question about the dash 20 with a double pass radiator, he has a follow up. He says, and with the double pass, I should not run any restrictions in the thermostat housing.
No.
This was actually before any of this other stuff we were talking about.
I don't advise to do that. No.
Yeah. We don't.
Again, this is me. So, somebody out there is going to be, well, my granddaddy's granddaddy knocked the center out of a thermostat, and it cooled the motor 10 degrees. So you're always going to hear that. You're always going to have that. It's just not in a real world that I've seen that actually work.
Pretty sure that great grandpa didn't run a crate engine though. So.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, just saying. Just saying.
No, he's running a 55 Chevy at some point.
Yeah, well, there's that. That's true. That's true. Pretty much the same thing. How about you? What are there any questions that you've any topics you've been talking about with racers in this
not honestly, no. I mean, this last week I was pretty much just wide open putting motors together.
Mm-hmm.
So nothing just rings a bell.
Yeah.
Wish I did. I mean,
no, it's all good.
But I mean, back to your heating thing. I mean, that's usually, you say it's a common question you've had here recently. That's always a common question we get.
Yeah, but especially this time of year, because we're mid-July. It's hot, it's humid, it's sticky, it's dense.
Correct. One of the things that we always recommend, number one, is you need to have an incredibly good tight shroud.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not running a fan shroud, then I mean, odds are that's part of your heating problem. If you're running one that's like you're running a 17-inch blade and you got a 19-inch shroud, that's part of your heating problem. So I mean, there's just, that's something to take into consideration, and people need to pay attention to that. And then the other thing is, because on dirt late models primarily, when your nose is sealed off the ground, you got a giant low pressure area in front of that radiator. That means it can't suck air because there's no air to suck.
Right.
So you need to think about that.
Yeah, is that a case where you would then drill some holes in the valence, or?
Well, I mean, look at the Lucas guys and all that when they were out in Nebraska, wherever the hell it was, that big race.
Okay.
And they're all freaking drilling holes in those because they couldn't cool in things now.
Yeah.
And they got giant ass fans on them because they don't give a shit about horsepower. I mean, at that point, they just want to cool the motor.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like drilling holes everywhere and everything else, trying to get air into there to relieve that low pressure area. So holes are not necessarily a bad thing. I mean, usually they're good, depending on,
Yeah. Well, you have to make a choice whether you want cooling or if you want aero.
Well, you got to finish to win. So I'll put it that way.
Sorry, this is like this.
Or do you win if you finish? If we're going on that topic, I always try to win.
Oh my gosh. All right. We got a new question here, which I'm looking forward to your answer here. So Chris says, is it worth rebuilding a 602 or just buy a new one?
Currently, if you'd asked me the same question 10 years ago, I'd be like, buy a new one.
Mm-hmm.
Currently, absolutely 1,000% worth rebuilding one. Because you're looking like a new one right now is what, $5,800? $5,800. I mean, you might be able to find one cheaper somewhere else, or somewhere that's, because you're not allowed to advertise
anything less than that. Yeah.
So I'm going to say you might be able to find one for, $5,200 here and there. But in order to rebuild a 602, our cost, what we charge is basically $3,000.
Mm-hmm.
So when you get it back, it's actually better than new, because when we do them, we blueprint them and do the whole 9 yards.
Yeah, so it's half the cost of buying a new one.
Absolutely.
And
roughly half the cost.
When you compare the $5,800, it's almost $6,000,
right?
And you can
if you take care of the damn thing, you're going to run it for another 2.5, 3 years before you have to have it rebuilt again, which you can actually do.
Yeah. Unless,
of course, by then it might be $10,000 to rebuild one because, Joe Budden.
That's all fine and good until we get to the next question. We see that Matt Henderson is here today.
Oh, God. There he is.
And he has weighed in on the aero question, saying aero every day, and then call Steve Monday and say, hey, it got hot.
Been there, done that, Matt. With Matt.
For Matt.
I don't understand. It's hot. It didn't run hot last week when it was 40 degrees out. But this week when it's 80 degrees out, it ran hot.
Oh, man. Yeah, Buddy wins a lot of races. Absolutely.
Yeah, he does.
Yep. Yeah. And on the
drill a hole in the fucking nose.
Yeah. Well, okay. And on the follow-up here, David mentions, he says, how much is it to rebuild a 604?
On average, $3,200.
Yeah.
So $3,200 currently. Now this is prices I'm quoting as of today.
Yeah.
But shit is changing Not on my end. I mean, our end, labor wise, stuff like that, we're, going to be consistent for a year. Next year, we're going to be raising our prices, because basically we're going into a damn recession. And it costs money to keep doors open and lights on. But General Motors wise and the other parts that we use that are not General Motors, which we're allowed to do. So, bearings, stuff like that, spark plugs, oil, shit like that. It's going up exponentially.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going up fast. So as of today, 602, about $3,000, 604, about 3,200.
And now that's going to depend. Let's talk about rebuilding for just a moment, because there's the machine work that you do, that you're going to machine it to spec and get it all cleaned up. But you're also going to inspect all of the different elements and make sure that, with a rebuild, not like a new blueprint, but with a rebuild, you're going to go through all those elements. And so there may be some parts that a customer is going to need, maybe a lifter here and there.
I've got a 602 in there, where I told the guy, hey, it's going to be $3,000 to rebuild it. Once we get it apart, we realize, oh, wow, you need all 8 new intake valves, because these intake valves are hammered to shit.
Yeah.
So what you do is you call the person and say, hey, here's what we found.
Yeah.
Before I do this, are you cool with it? And then they're like, yeah, of course, So.
Well, I think that's a really good conversation to have, and just to understand what a rebuild includes versus what it doesn't. And where, you're not going to try to nickel and dime anybody in the door or anything. You're not going to say something that you're, it's always this, and then all of a sudden surprise somebody.
If it's going to be more than what I told you, you're going to be getting a call from me, basically. That's how that works.
But your cost does include refilling with oil, changing spark plugs, setting the timing or marking the balancer, top dead center, setting the valves, brand new springs.
Well, that's more than that, but when you get it back, it's ready to drop in and go race.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was saying. We just wanted to get that information out there. I see Brian Littleton is here from Racelogic, and he says, hey guys, 105 degrees here in Arkansas.
It's like 75 here today.
Yeah, it was supposed to be like a high of 81.
I know.
And you know what? I'm not jealous at all, Brian. I'm not jealous. I do not want to. I'm not happy when it's 105 degrees. That is not my happy temp for sure. Yeah.
Nope. Yeah. Especially in the Midwest where there's like, ugh.
Yeah.
Ugh.
And Brian, you and I need to connect, because I have to find out what's happening with next year and the Racelogic. Yeah. And for anybody who hasn't checked these out or hasn't signed up to see the Racelogic, if you run a crate late model or a street stock, gosh, can we even recommend it any more than we already do?
I'm going to lobby for free beer for the presenters as we're presenting the show next year, or the classes next year. So if we get beer, you imagine me and Henderson on beer, drinking beer as we're presenting.
Yeah, but there's still.
I think it'd be kind of fun.
Well, you know what? Maybe you do how about this?
Do it after hours?
How about you do a regular presentation? You do it straight, like the little professors.
Yeah, like we
right?
are.
But why don't you do an after hours Q&A? And we could even film it for the podcast.
Oh God, that'd be fun.
I agree.
That'd be fun.
I think that would be fun.
And
do an after hours Q&A where there's
the late model class would be shots with Matt and Steve.
There you go. I like that idea.
If we get Chip to drink.
That would be fun. That would be fun. I think that's a great idea. I like that. Oh, and Matt agrees with you. He says, I absolutely agree. Free beer for the presenters.
Yeah.
So, okay. Certainly something to think about there.
So, even a little 1 hour after the fact deal, that'd be kind of fun.
Yeah. A little 1 hour personal Q&A session and storytelling session, because that's what it would kind of turn into, I would hope, too.
Oh, yeah. It ultimately turned into storytelling.
Yeah, and because stories are the best, because you guys will answer all the tech questions during the day. Yeah. But if we can kind of switch this into story time,
accurately and soberly, we will answer the tech questions during the day.
Correct.
At night, it could get a little bit,
Well, and maybe it would be fun to even see what kind of questions people would want to ask, and have I could MC it for you guys. It'd be All right, Steve, tell us about the time and whatever. I don't know.
Tell us about the time you called Henderson a dick on Facebook.
So glad you guys are friends now because I like you both. All right. Back to topic here. I see. And actually, Matt is still here. He says we usually go eat and drink after, so why not?
I think I
mean, it's the same deal, right? So we might as well just bring the beer and the cameras and the audio and
like DoorDash some McDonald's or some shit.
Yeah, gourmet. Have Irish food, McDonald's and Guinness, right? Yeah. No, it's all good. All right, so here's a good question here for you. And Dave says, don't you regrind valves?
Yes, we do. Okay. So, to a point. So there's actually in the GM tech manual, or the Bible as we call it, so the Golden Book, there's actually margins that we have to maintain. And I mean, that's in the tech manual. So it's a technical spec. But we also know through experience that you don't want to grind them to that spec because it actually is not good for performance of the engine. So
good to know.
We
just have to make a judgment call.
We replace valves quite a bit, honestly. That's one of the most common things that you'll do. Normally it's from guys spinning the motor too high. Spinning the motor too high is going to beat the shit out of intake valves like crazy. Exhausts are normally fine. The other thing that happens is if a guy runs it too long and he's got a bunch of blow by and you're getting oil in the combustion chamber and then the valve's closing on oil, it'll cup a valve, like the valve face itself like crazy. So you got to be careful with that.
Interesting. Here's another question. Jamie says, will 604 crate headers bolt up to a 23-degree motor with dart heads?
No.
Okay.
They'll bolt up. Yeah. Will they line up? No.
Yeah. Well, that's the important thing. Just like the 604 headers will bolt up to a 602.
Oh, well,
as far as the bolt pattern's the same.
But the bolt pattern is going to be the same, but port alignment to the bolt alignment is going to be completely different.
Right. Absolutely. All right. Philip is here. He says, good evening from Tennessee. Is there a difference in running a fuel pressure regulator pre-fuel log or post-fuel log?
If you're running a bypass regulator, absolutely not. If you're running a deadhead regulator, then yes.
Okay. And then
a bypass, you can run it before or after, as long as you're bypassing the excess fuel back to the tank. On a deadhead is designed to run before the fuel log.
Oh, before the fuel log. Yeah. Okay. That's interesting. Okay. And Team 12 Racing asks, have you done any dyno testing with Braswell X85 carbs on a 602 late model?
Not specifically, no. I haven't. Braswell's always made good stuff. Back when I was racing super late models, like one of my favorite carburetors at Braswell. Mm-hmm. I'm not aware of them doing any billet center section stuff for crate motors. So I'd say they might be a little bit behind the 8-ball on that. So no, it's nothing that I've actually tested. I have tested their stuff on 604s and 525s. And it seems to run decent. It's not like setting world records as far as, performance goes. But, depending on where you're racing, a lot of everything to do with carburetors is like drivability. So it might not produce the most power, but is it drivable and can I win races with it? So.
Gotcha.
And obviously, like I said, I love Braswell. Great carburetors. But, is it the best out there? Probably not. Is it drivable? Absolutely. So,
and that might allow you to outdrive the guy next to you.
Well, that's what I'm getting at. So, there's no, drivability has a lot to do with performance as far as like the driver himself goes. So if you're in love with your Braswell carburetor, but it makes 7 horsepower less than your billet center section, drive the damn Braswell. Because you might not like the billet center section carburetor. Whatever. It's not.
Well, at least the good thing about racing.
It's like anything else.
Truly,
it's like headers.
If you like your carburetor, you can keep your carburetor.
Yeah. Kind of like, insurance back in the Obama.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, we pretty much turn everything to politics. This is how we have a conversation. We don't even mean to, but it does. All right, Bill says, do all 604s have the same cams in them?
Yes, they do, within reason. You'll see variances. I've got a cam doctor, so basically everything that we have runs across a cam doctor when it comes through the shop, whether it's new, used, whatever. So, I mean, by cam grinding standards, this is not like, super great, because I mean, if you're actually a good cam grinder, like let's say Crowder or something like that, then I mean, your shit's gonna be dead nuts on. But if you're looking at these things, they'll vary a lot at 6,000ths. So you don't look at 6, which honestly really doesn't even make a shit bit of difference. But like throughout the entire lift range, it's rare to see anything vary more than a degree.
Wow. So
the one thing that I've always said this, and the one thing that GM does right is grind cams, or have them ground, which I'm assuming it's going to be comp grinding them for them. I'm not sure, don't know, but I'm assuming that's who's doing it for them. So they're all within 1 degree, and 1 degree, it could be dead nuts on at this lift, or 1 degree difference at that lift, and then the next, at 300, it could be 1 degree off of whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It ain't making a shit bit of difference in power.
Good deal. That's great information. And then Alan has a question here saying, hey guys, we run 602 crates with a 650 4-barrel. Northeast Dirt Rule says spacer plate is to be a single hole, not to be more than 1 1/8 thickness. Would you prefer thinner or thicker plates, or what is your preference?
On a 602, so basically you have to have, it's going to be wide spacer. Open spacer. Mm-hmm. Between 1 inch and 1 1/8 inches, there's not going to be like a shit bit of difference, honestly. Open spacer on a 602 is just going to be an open spacer. I mean, there's no difference there whatsoever.
But is it better to have the 1 inch open spacer or no spacer at all?
Oh, always the 1 inch spacer. Yeah, I would definitely run that. Yeah. Yeah, I didn't see that part. But yeah.
Well, he didn't actually ask that, but I would
certainly run the 1 inch.
Yeah.
It's going to be better.
I don't know of an 1 1/8 inch plate out there.
Well, like a lot of rules, they'll take into account like the spacer and then the gaskets and shit like that. So you're allowed that much stack or something.
Yeah. Which
could be the scenario. I don't know. But normally, like most rules will say 1 inch or 2 inch or whatever. Mm-hmm. I would certainly run. Yeah.
Gotcha. And Team 12 Racing, as a follow-up, he says, we have had good success with our Braswell carb on CHP. Mm-hmm. Great takeoff and drivability. We tried the Braswell X85 carb, kind of sluggish on takeoff. Any idea on what that may be?
Honestly, I don't have an idea on that. I am by no means a carburetor guy or guru or anything like that.
That's your brother.
Well, my brother, or I can refer you to like, David Smith or Willie's or mm-hmm. whoever, and they can probably answer that question better than I can. Normally on takeoff, it's going to be potentially like a pump shot deal. Maybe it's not getting enough fuel on takeoff. Braswell, to the best of my knowledge, has never been known for E85 type carburetors. I ran their alcohol stuff back in the day, back in California. I've run their again, super late model stuff, which was all great, but I'm just not sure how up they are on their E85 stuff. Mm-hmm. So I wish I could answer your question, but it's not something that I'd want to get into here because it could be a number of things affect takeoff.
Good to know. I know.
First thought's pump shot, but
historically speaking, there's always been a difference between a regular carburetor versus an E85 carburetor, and I'm not really. I'm just saying as far as ordering them and with the different components. Right. So I'm not sure if he's just literally changing.
Most of the carburetors that we build our own, or my brother builds ours. again, the stuff that I normally recommend, we're running these things so freaking stupid rich on the bottom end just to get them to take off. It's unbelievable. So, I mean, that's probably going to end up being the problem here.
Great to know. Well, since we have feel free. I mean, again, guys, jump into your questions there. I just want to mention that we're doing something special over at Crate Insider here. And that is, we have a new giveaway. So we were successful with our June giveaway, and now we have a July giveaway. That is exciting. Well, then I'll turn on the Steve cam.
But, no, don't turn on the Steve cam. I just want to have my favorite cigarette.
Anyway, what we've got in this package is a valve spring changer, a valve lash adjusting tool, a speed handle, and of course a t-shirt and koozies, and then your choice of springs. So whether you've got beehives for a 604 or 525 or for a 602, and you need the 602 springs. So to enter that, just go to our website, CrateInsider.com. And at the top, I'll see if we've got that on the top. I'm not sure if we did. Yep, we've got it right there at the top. There's a tab called giveaway, and you can click on that, and all you're going to enter is your name and your email address. And then if you win or lose, we will still let you know what's going on there. So yeah, really exciting news there.
Who won last month's?
I knew you were going to ask me as soon as I started talking about this. Tori handled all of that, so maybe she will. She was amazing. So Tori's my assistant. She's incredible, and she got that. She even sent it out to the person. So
evil assistant Tori.
Evil amazing assistant Tori. Oh, Steve Cam.
Shit.
I don't understand why it's so much brighter than the other camera.
I have no idea.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably just the ring light like shining on me, showing my gray hair.
Yeah, I don't know, because every time I try to look at it looks like we're in the dark now. I don't know. I'm not very good at camera settings like that. So yeah, any more questions you guys have, drop them off. Oh, here we go. I've got a good one for you here, Steve. Doug Porter says, does Steve prefer vodka or whiskey? I'll send him a bottle of local Merced California juice.
So I'm a bit of a vodka snob. I'm not that much of a whiskey snob. So probably whiskey.
A whiskey.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we have fun. We have fun trying them anyway.
I've been to enough Eastern European countries to where I've got a really defined palate for vodka. So whiskey, it would probably be the better source. And I appreciate that. That'd be awesome. Because I love Merced.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Merced's great.
Did a lot of racing there.
Yeah. As actually I'm going to do another little promo kind of thing too. It actually came up in a conversation today. If you guys get a chance, type in racingrewind.com. I'll actually type it into the comments here. And it is going to take you to a YouTube channel, Racing Rewind. And on that channel, it's one that Steve and I started where take VHS tapes of races and digitize them and then put them up on YouTube. And so if you have any VHS tapes or if you know anybody who does, definitely, there's a lot of Merced, which is what reminded me. Otherwise, I'd love to just really increase that collection. Everything I have is posted as of the moment. So you can check those out. We've got some from California and some from Iowa from different collections. And so, we really love to expand that. You
got some old Scott Lundquist and Billy Moore stuff on
there. Yeah. From Farley.
Dad's in one
my dad was unhappy.
He's pissed off at you
he's not pissed off at me, but he's like really sad. He's like, because, it's not like I grew up with a video camera or anything, not like those rich people in California. But no, I mean, he'd never seen himself race. And the race that is at Farley, Iowa, it turned out he told me after the fact, he's like, yeah, great. You picked this one. I didn't really pick it. It was just what was available. And it happened to be one where they were combining all these like super late model cars that all had different rule packages. So he was running off of like the NASCAR rules, and these guys were running off of some totally different rules, which allowed them to do all kinds of other stuff that he couldn't do. It's like there was no chance. He was bringing a 602 to a 525 fight,
Well, I think like on that channel too, I think one of the last few videos you've uploaded was like me and Danny Simpkins racing
Oh
each
yeah,
other in
yeah,
Santa Maria?
yeah. And I pulled that from the Simpkins, Danny Simpkins Facebook page.
You got permission to do that.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And he, God, hopefully he gets inducted in the California Stock Car Hall of Fame this year because he was a badass dude. So.
Yeah, he definitely had a big fan base. A lot of people who really loved him. Yeah, so I am definitely on the hunt for any more of these. It takes me a little while to like digitizing videotapes is its own process. Like there's no fast way to do it. You literally just have to play the tapes, hope the computer captures it all, and you don't have to do it more than once.
Right.
But yeah, it's hours and hours and hours, but it's so worth it, to bring that like that's really what we see in these older tapes is really so much about what racing was really about for so many of us.
I mean, back then we didn't have the technology. I mean, we thought, it's amazing the stuff that we thought of back then that actually applies to today.
Oh yeah.
But like it got refined, so
or rediscovered
rediscovered.
Yeah. It was like cool for 5 minutes and then we were on to trying out something else. Right. And it's almost like it gets forgotten.
Right.
And then before you know it, it's back again. On Danny, Doug mentions that Danny Simpkins had 89% winning percentage. Yep. Wow.
He's a badass mofo.
Yeah. Wow. That's crazy.
I remember I grew up watching him race, usually when the north-south stuff happened. I mean, we didn't go to Santa Maria all the time as a kid. I mean, we sponsored milk motors for Ray Morgan. So when Ray would go down there, we go down with him like, once a year basically. Mm-hmm. But then like Danny'd like come up and race. One of the only dudes I ever seen him like roll into Watsonville who'd never been there and win a race.
Wow.
So very impressive.
Wow. And some more comments. Alan says that's a great giveaway. Great. I'm glad you're enjoying that. And we're really enjoying, putting together a package. So, hey, if you guys have any suggestions on what you'd like to see us put together in a giveaway, let us know. Yeah. And it's going to be some of our favorite things, basically.
I would like a late model.
Oh, okay, great. I mean, I think
I'm still not too old not to drive, so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll pull that right out of my back pocket. Yep. Okay.
Hit up Bernheisel.
Yeah. All right. Team 12 Racing says we may book a dyno session soon to see what we have going on. Hopefully we can pinpoint our issues.
Yeah, just give me a shout. Normally we do it by appointment only. But yeah, we'd be happy to help you out. I mean, it's not a problem. Mm-hmm. So again, hour or 2 hours on the dyno and we pretty much figure out if you got, what issue you have. It's extremely rare that we don't. Oh, and I mean, it's happened obviously, but
and then it bothers you guys, and you guys
bothers the shit out of us, and then you're calling the dude like 3 days later, going, "I got this idea, right?
Yeah,
I thought about it at night while I'm trying to go to sleep, and here's the thing."
Yeah, and you guys have so much experience doing that. Tim has a question here. He says, "Do you think running a 20W50 in a 604 creates more motor heat?"
I do, yes. So I don't recommend that. Number one, because of the flow rate at cold temperature, and then the flow rate at high temperature. So in other words, it pours like a 20 weight and it runs obviously as a 50 weight. And to me, that's too much on that style engine. So normally what we'll run is either going to be a 1030 on most oils. And then, we get like a Klotz or a Daytona 1 where we're going to be running a 40 weight on the tail end.
Yeah.
And then like a 10 or a 5 weight on the pour weight.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pour weight's probably a bad term, but the pour viscosity.
Well, yeah, I think
cold viscosity, I guess.
Yeah. Just the cold end of the spectrum there, or so
exactly.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, and that's why we don't sell a 2050. Although I'm pretty sure that's what's on the GM oil pan, right?
No, it's 1550.
Oh, that's what 1550. Yeah. Okay, I couldn't remember. It was 50 something.
Right.
So, yeah. So
we use it
as baseline.
But then GM's cure for their whole effed up crankshaft deal was like, oh, just run a lighter oil. Which, wasn't going to solve their problem that they had here a while back. But anyways, that's,
Yeah.
So we're going to burn up number 2 or number 3 or number 4 main.
It happens.
Not enough clearance is not enough clearance.
True. And JJ's here. He says hi from Yakima, Washington. And we're all the way out in California and Washington tonight. JJ Mullins and number 69 PFR.
There you go. Awesome.
Cool. I don't know what PFR stands for, but it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, really cool number there.
Yep.
Well, I think we're almost at the hour. I do want to mention one other thing, and that is to save the date. One thing that's really exciting. Jimmy and I, so my brother and I, had a great conversation, and we probably meant to start a little bit earlier in the year, but things happen. Anyway, our next racing trade show here in North Carolina is going to be January 6th and 7th, 2023. So I've kind of mentioned that a little bit on the show here before, but today I think we did a little refresh on the website, so you can get the date on there. So it's carsracingshow.com.
That's pretty cool.
But for right now, I mean, just save the date, and there will be tons more information coming out about the exhibitors and any kind of special events. We've got a lot of really exciting ideas.
Yep.
So it'll be interesting to see how everything kind of plays out, and what ideas are like spaghetti. You got to just throw them all on the wall and see what's going to stick. But and really connect with other people. And
my exciting event coming up in October will be my dad's memorial race in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Yep, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania Motor Speedway. I love that race. I love that whole event.
We're trying this year to make that 10,000 win on Saturday, 3,000 win on Friday, and this will be for through the Rush Racing Series, and which is going to be 604 crate late models. And God, we'd love to see people come from everywhere if we can. I mean, it's not probably practical to drive from California, but and then of course we're always looking for sponsors for that event, and give me a call if you're interested in getting involved.
Yeah, it's a great event, and of course it has my favorite race of the year, and I think
absolutely,
and it's called One to Remember.
Yep.
I know some people would call that a non-winners race, but it's a race where the only people who can participate are ones who have not won a feature
in this class of racing.
Yeah, exactly. In this class of racing. So it's so exciting.
In other words, you can't be Jonathan Davenport. Well, Jonathan's won everything.
Yeah.
But you can't be just, a name that has never won in a crate and come racing.
Yeah,
I mean, you've got to be, a guy moving up, and, a guy's raced that, this division for quite a while and has never won a feature.
And there's just nothing so special as
guy or girl.
Yeah. There's just nothing as special as winning your first race.
Yep.
And that whoever wins that race,
it's their first feature win ever.
Yeah,
so.
It still brings tears in my eyes.
Yeah, you do literally cry in victory lane.
I totally do. I'm such
you
a
and
girl.
Vicky actually do.
Well, it's just so special. I mean,
right.
they're just so, you just cannot even.
Yep.
The emotion is just so much.
Absolutely.
And they fight so hard.
The racing
honestly
is one of the best races.
It truly is. I mean, you're on one hand, you get to see the super guys ran the 100 laps in the Pittsburgher.
The Pittsburgher is like amazing.
The Bill Hendren Memorial is amazing, but there's just something so special, just seeing the fire that's out there.
And if nobody's ever seen this track, I would check it out online.
No, it's badass.
So it's Pittsburgh's
so
Pennsylvania
badass.
Motor Speedway.
Yeah.
This is a half-mile track. God, I think it's bigger than half. It's like Gaffney size used to be back when I was racing down there. It may be. I don't know. It's close. So it's like a half mile, maybe a 5/8 on the outside. But this place races like it's Farley.
Yeah, it does.
It races like it's a quarter mile down, or 3/8 mile track.
It's incredible.
It's just amazing the show that's always put on there. I think, other than maybe 1 year that we've had it there, which we've had it there, what now, 6 years?
There's 1 year I didn't go, and then I think we've been there like 4 times. Something. Anyway, it's been a while.
At any rate, other than one race, everything has been decided the last corner, last lap.
Yeah.
Who wins the race?
Oh,
and it's just
so exciting. Racing. Absolutely. Yeah.
It's one of those places where you can see your reflection in the racetrack.
Oh, it's beautiful.
At the end of the race.
Yes.
It's just slick. It's damn. No, I mean, it's slick that time, but like qualifying, stuff like that is just hammer down, freaking awesome.
It really is incredible. Yep. So big shout out to Matt Miley up there.
Yeah, Matt's
and the whole Miley
phenomenal.
Family. They do a fantastic job with that racetrack, and there's always just so much more to offer there. At that big race, especially that up top, there's booths, and to check out some of the other,
absolutely.
It's like having the souvenir trailers. There's really so much buzz and excitement, and it's just such a joy, and the racing is fantastic to watch. Yep. So yeah, big shout out to all of that. So if you can make plans in October,
and Pittsburgh's fun to go to.
Oh yeah, we love Pittsburgh. It's the food's always amazing.
I hate the football team, but other than that, I love the town.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. All right, a couple last thoughts here before we wrap things up. See, Gary is here, which means Susie's probably here too. Says hello, y'all. So hello, and Christopher's here. Says we're in North Carolina, and Edward is here.
We're at North Carolina.
Oh, we're at North Carolina. Yeah. We're in Rutherford, North Carolina, which is in way western North Carolina. We're 20 minutes from South Carolina.
In between Charlotte and Nashville.
Yeah, like an hour. So we're only an hour away from everything, but we're an hour away from everything.
Yeah, which
we're just lucky we have internet here.
We're not an hour away from downtown, which is like
no, it's a quarter mile.
Starting to happen.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
our downtown area.
This little sleepy town is like trying to wake up. So.
It's a great little town. Yeah, it's a great little town. But let us get some more housing before anybody else moves here.
Right.
Just saying.
and
Edward's here from Antioch. We were
talking
about awesome. Antioch a little bit earlier.
Yep.
So
which is still I'm trying to my favorite racetracks ever in my life that I've raced at. I'm going to go 311 Speedway in Madison, North Carolina.
Okay.
Antioch Speedway, Antioch, California.
Okay.
Santa Maria Speedway, Santa Maria, California. With Raceway Withville, Virginia.
Oh, yeah, you love her with. Yeah.
That's my 4 favorite. I'm trying to think of a 5th. It would probably be... Well, if I don't throw my home track in Watsonville, California in there, I'd be a dick. So that'll be my 5th favorite.
Yeah, I agree. And what track were you at when you won your first race?
The very Merced.
Oh, Merced.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Merced, California. I mean, Merced to me was like the Antioch Speedway here in North Carolina.
Okay.
So there's an Antioch Speedway in North Carolina.
Right.
It was the track I loved to hate.
Oh.
So I loved the fans there. I loved everything there. But I hated racing at that track.
And yet I totally.
But I always did. But I always did good there.
Oh, okay, okay.
So it's like this Antioch Speedway up here in Morganton, North Carolina.
Yeah.
And I think my win to loss ratio was about like Danny Simpkins was. It was about 90%. So I won 90% of the times I went there.
Yeah.
So it was just I hated the damn place, hated the track. But I won there every time I went. So.
That's crazy. Well, one last comment here. Also describing where we are in North Carolina. William Glass says, in the middle of nowhere.
Uh-huh.
Ha ha ha. Yeah, that pretty much describes it. All right. So I want to thank everybody for being here. Do you have any last thoughts there, Steve?
Yeah, I'm going to finish my beer and go home.
Okay. Well, thank you for being here. Thank you so much for being part of the show. And we will look forward to being back next week.
Oh, wait. Next week, I actually move in next door.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's right. You totally do.
Yeah.
Yep. So he's going to move in next door. So then you'll be even closer.
Yeah.
Good deal.
So.
Awesome. All right. We'll see you guys next week. Have a good one.
Later.